But when it came to this, every single dish we introduced was a hit. Within 2 days, we had people lining up and it was a hit. But when I started, I did not start from square one. I did not start from square one because Coffee Colombo had already reached a wide audience and I was the face of Coffee Colombo. So when I started House of Resham, I was already a very familiar face. I genuinely thought I was starting from square one, but I wasn't. Whatever happens and goes on, and it was always instilled in me that I have to keep running this.
Hi everyone, Zafar here. So today we have a very special guest with us for the podcast. She's actually a truly inspiring person, a young female entrepreneur, a doctor by day and a cafe founder by night. So who is turning culture into business and giving back to her community. Nivetha Sivakumar, thank you so much for being here today. So Nivetha, to start off, could you just give us a little bit introduction about yourself?
Hi, I'm Nivetha. So as you mentioned, I'm doctor by profession, and I also run a cafe, founded Coffee Colombo, an authentic Jaffna restaurant, which was started about 7 years ago. And I studied in Malaysia, my MBBS. I finished in Malaysia, and while I was studying is when Coffee Colombo started. So that's about 7 years ago, I think, when I was about 22, right before I finished my medicine. That's when I ventured into business and started Coffee Colombo. And today I'm, like you said, a doctor mostly by day, and I run a coffee shop, a restaurant, and that's mostly like my night job.
So what actually lit the spark for entrepreneurship in you?
Okay, so I come from a family background of business. So my father has been in business like ever since. And I'm the eldest daughter in the family. So naturally, there's only two of us, me and my sister. So naturally, there has to be someone who has to take over the business. So since small, my dad always used to teach me little things and show me accounts and show me, whatever happens and goes on. And it was always instilled in me that I have to keep running this, right? So my mind was always there. But then my father was never into F&B. So how it started was I was doing medicine, and that was my passion. That is all I knew about for so many years. Since I was a child, I always wanted to grow up and be a doctor. And my parents were no one pushed me to do medicine, but my parents were very proud about my decision because obviously we live in a community where being a doctor is looked up upon. Right. So then I was like, okay, I think, and I was only good at science. I was not good at anything else in school. So I was like, okay, fine. So this is the thing for me. I'll go ahead with it. And I was doing medicine. I was happy, sometimes doubting my decisions. Yes, because it's not the easiest of the degrees out there. But I think I do have a little bit of creativity in me that I felt like became very monotonous for me, because medicine was all about waking up and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And like the creative side of me was just not alive anymore. And of course, I also like food. I like the cafe culture, and I liked going out with my friends. And whenever something new opens, I always go out and try it and things like that, right? And there was a lot in Malaysia that was not available in Sri Lanka back then. I think now, even for the past 10 years, we have grown, tremendously. But even 10 years ago, there was so much gap in the market. And I was like, okay, why not start a coffee shop? And my father already had the space. So there was nothing really that I was losing on at that point. There was already a space, and I was like, okay, I'll just start my own coffee shop. And that's how it started. And then it took me some time to, along the way to actually figure out how even the coffee shop, because it was a normal coffee shop. We used to sell burgers, pizzas, pastas, and coffee and all that. So then that was a whole journey by itself for Coffee Colombo to turn out to be an authentic Jaffna restaurant. And that's why, it's called Coffee Colombo, but actually it's a Jaffna restaurant. So I think that's how it came about. And obviously I had this running, and I had my mom who was involved from the beginning. So I used to when I was studying in Malaysia, I used to take phone calls and kind of communicate things. And then I used to travel very often because I had the cafe also here, and just look into things, introduce something new, and then go back, and then they would run it. I was like, doing it from Malaysia, and then I finished and came, and then now I'm running both parallelly.
Okay, that's actually great. So, your cafe, Colombo, like specializes in authentic Jaffna cuisine.
Yes.
What inspired you to bring that heritage food into modern Colombo cafe?
Okay, so more than inspiration, I think, to be very honest from the bottom of my heart, I think it just happened. It just happened. But somewhere along the way is when I got that in me that, this is really truly about me and it's my culture. So it was not that I started it with that very intention. So it was an accident, actually. It was Coffee Colombo. It was a normal cafe, like I mentioned. Then COVID happened, the economic crisis happened. We were using imported cheese, we were using imported coffee, and we couldn't get our hands on almost anything. And we had to double, triple the price. It was not affordable for our customers. The business was going down, and I just wanted to opt for something more sustainable. And then I thought, why not introduce something that is just from Sri Lanka and something that is my very own? So pittu is something that we eat every day, especially back in Jaffna. And then crabs is, you know how crabs is like a very big thing, a very expensive meal outside. But then from where I come from in Jaffna, it's like we have it 2-3 times a day. And it was something very normal for us. And it's one of my favorite, of course. So then I introduced that very set, the pittu, the Jaffna crab curry, and the pol sambal. It's what we eat at home. So it was just one dish. And we were on social media and all that, but we were not big on social media. And one day I just decided to take a video of this and upload it on TikTok. And a few days after, people started coming in. We weren't even ready to serve that many people. We were sold out for 2 days continuously. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? What's suddenly happening? Such a sudden increase in footfall. And it was sudden. We were not prepared. Then I randomly opened my TikTok, and one of the videos had actually gone viral, and hence why. Then it started there. It started with that one viral moment. And then I was like, okay, this is something that people like. I didn't know that people would actually come out of their houses and eat pittu. I thought it was such a staple. I mean, that's how it was for me. And that's how it is for me up until now. Sometimes I'm so surprised. People actually come, wait, and stand in a line to eat something and value something so much that I actually eat every day that I didn't see as something so big. And I was like, okay, people are accepting this, and this is something of my own. And I know how to do it. If I can do it the best, if I can't, nobody else can, because I am from Jaffna. And this is truly, from Jaffna, right? And I was like, okay, if there's someone who's doing it, it's going to be me. And then we introduced one by one from crab, we went to chicken, to mutton, to fish. It was literally introduced one by one because I was so careful. I was like, even when I introduced one thing, I'm like, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Because when I had the cafe, whenever we introduce something, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when it came to this, every single dish we introduced was a hit. Within 2 days, we had people lining up, and it was a hit. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is my calling. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to bring a piece of home together with me. This is so authentic. It doesn't even seem like work. It doesn't even seem like effort. I don't even have to think about it. It's something that's been a part of me ever since, that I was just bringing out to the world at that point. And there are a few Jaffna restaurants in Colombo, but there wasn't anyone focusing on what I was focusing on, and that was pittu. And I think that was about it. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I am, by this, something that started as a viral moment, and now it's something meaningful for me when I put it together. And I'm like, for me, it's something very, very close to my heart, because it is a big part of me. It is a part of me that was not out there all the time. Not many people know that I'm from Jaffna. I went to an international school, and a lot of people know that I'm Tamil, but don't necessarily know my roots and where I come from. And I don't really talk about it. And there was a time that maybe it was not always accepted and things like that, a lot of things. But now I can step my foot down and say, I am proudly coming from here, and a lot of people have accepted. There was so much questions in my mind even when we're starting, when I was promoting this, and people have accepted it like their very own. And I was like, now as of today, I think for Colombo, I have somewhat covered this. I have introduced Jaffna cuisine to a lot of people that have not ever tried Jaffna food in their life. And I think my intentions going forward, and I've always spoken about this to my family and friends, is definitely a global platform for Coffee Colombo, is my goal as of today.
That's actually really great. So, Nivetha, what would you say to young student who is thinking that, can I really do it all? I mean, work, study, following your passion. So, like, how did you find your path, and like, what advice you would give to the people like who's thinking that, is it possible, like managing all? Like,
Yes, okay. So if you ask me, is it possible? Yes, it's definitely possible. I think it's not just me. I think I'm very, very small in comparison to so many people. But I think there are people out there who are proving it every day that it is possible. Starting off with a mother who takes up so many roles in their lives every day. It's just not out there. Like, I'm out here, but not everybody is out there. Everybody plays different roles in their lives. Everybody is capable. It's about how you align your priorities. I think that's the most important thing, and how committed you are in what you want to do, and how much of it is truly coming from your heart. Because if you can force yourself to do something, anybody can, right? You can force yourself, you can be like, okay, this is it, this is what I have to do, I don't have a choice, and you can go forward. But the thing is, you're not going to go far with that. You're at one point you'll be questioning yourself, and then, like I said, when life gets monotonous, or when you have so many questions, then you tend to deviate from what you want to do, and then you tend to drop out certain aspects of your life. But if you truly do what your heart is asking you to do, I think anyone can actually go very, very far. But at the same time, it's not just about heart and passion. It's about being loyal to what you do, and it's about commitment. It's about being able to wake up and truly love what you do and do the same thing every single day without getting tired of it. And that means even if you do start something today and it's been an year and you can't see something positive, you can't see something exponentially positive, but you can definitely see something going the positive way. You have to still keep going. Even if something goes a negative way, if you truly believe in it, I think give it 100%. At least at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, when you turn back and look, you will have nothing to regret, because you always know you have given it your 100%. So once you've given something your 100% and then it doesn't work out, it's okay. But wake up and give your 100% every day, and be honest and genuine to yourself.
I think that's one of the most secrets that most of the success people out there who has like, followed, right? So you have been featured in articles and profiles about your business and journey. How has public recognition changed your business of your role as a female entrepreneur?
Okay. So as a female entrepreneur, let's keep the female aside first. I think as an entrepreneur, it created an incredible platform for me. I also recently started a clothing line. So I do traditional wear. It's called House of Resham. So when I started, I was very scared. Now, I don't know anybody in the clothing industry. It was all very new to me. I just went on with it because it's something that I wear every day. And simply because when I wear something, people are always coming up to me and asking, where did you get that from? And I just wanted to have my own brand, which just screams me. I wanted to give that. So that's how I started it. And when I started, I was very scared, because now, like, my father's into the hotel side, and like Coffee Colombo is about F&B, and clothing is something that's completely different. So when I started, I was very scared. I was like, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? Like, how is it going to be? Like, what is it going to be? Like, I don't even know how to actually keep stock for that. How are sales? How much should I even, the value of the items? Like, I didn't know anything, right? It's completely different to F&B. But when I started, I did not start from square one. Because Coffee Colombo had already reached a wide audience, And I was the face of Coffee Colombo. So when I started House of Resham, I was already a very familiar face. I genuinely thought I was starting from square one, but I wasn't. Like, it's been, I think, 4 months since I started House of Resham, and we already have 18K genuine followers on House of Resham social media platforms. And our reach is about, last month, I was looking at like our reach, and it was about 2 million people. So that's something that even Coffee Colombo wasn't able to reach. But Coffee Colombo is what gave me the push. So I think the main thing is that this publicity, when I start something new, because the public has accepted me. If it was the other way around, I think it would all be so different. But because the public has accepted me, and because now I am somewhat a known face, whatever I do, people have that trust in me. And I think that's both good and bad, because I have to always live up to that expectation. I have to always fulfill that trust. If I do one small mistake, that mistake is always glorified, and there's a lot of attention towards that mistake. At the same time, when I do something good, there's also a lot of attention towards that. So I'm always mindful about that, but it has made my life easier because people already trust me. So I think that way, that is how being public has helped me. Now, you mentioned female. There was actually 2 interviews before that I had rejected because they said that they were going to screen that on like under like female entrepreneurs or whatever. Now, I am definitely a feminist, but my definition of feminism is different to what most people see it as of today. But nevertheless, I never thought of me as a female in a man's world. But I am very well aware that we are all living in a man's world, and I have accepted that, right? And I'm aware that sometimes, not always, sometimes, as a woman, it takes twice the effort to get half the recognition. But the difference here is that I have accepted it. This is what it is. I know I am living in a man's world. I know all the top names out there are men, right? But that does not put women anywhere down. And one thing we should understand, our DNAs are different. We are architectured differently. But that does not mean we do not have the mental capability. So this comes down. I'm not going to go down there and fight a man. I cannot, right? But when it comes to mentally fighting someone, I definitely can. So I'm already putting myself equal to every man out there on a mental level, right? So then I don't see myself as a female. I just see myself as an entrepreneur. I'm out there with everyone else. And once you walk into a room, even if it is a room full of male entrepreneurs, if you have that in your mind, that's what you're going to project out. And when you project out, people in the room pick up on it. And they never see you as someone different. I have never been looked upon because I was a woman. I have never. Because I have always projected that confidence that is within me. And that's what I truly believe. So it was never a struggle for me because that's what I believe. And that's what I stand for. And that's how I act. And people accept that.
So on a different interview, Nivetha, you mentioned about positive thoughts and self-care as your strategies. So could you break about the role self-belief and mindset play, especially for young women wanting to break norms?
Okay, so like I mentioned before, being positive, and not just being positive, but what you think on the inside is what's going to project on the outside. So like I said, I never consider myself different to any man out there. What you think is what you project, and that's what people pick up on. So being positive helps in a way where when you're facing a challenge, when you are positive, your mind is positive, your outlook is going to be positive. So that is what it's all about. When there is a problem, when you're positive and you say you can do it, you're always thinking in the lines of, I can do it, but how am I going to do it? You're never thinking in the lines of, is this possible? Then when you think, is this possible, your mind already thinks about all the negative, and somehow, without knowing, our human brains work in such a way when you think something and you prepare yourself. That's why like most people have plan Bs, which I think it's an incredible way to work. Of course, you have to have your plan B, C, and D. But at the same time, when you're having all these plans and you think it's okay to go for plan B and C, when you do not make it through plan A, you have already accepted plan B, C, and D. But you forget that your priority is actually plan A. But when you're focused, and sometimes when you think, okay, this is not going to go south, there is no negative outlook for this, you're going to focus again and again and again on plan A and make it work somehow. If you put it in your brain that, okay, plan B is there, but it's almost non-existent, you just leave it, you're going to make plan A work. And that is your best plan anyway. So that's how the positive outlook is going to work. And I think there are different ways you can keep positive. I mean, starting from doing the things that you love to do, which create a positive impact on you, or which simply keep you happy. I think that's what I mentioned in my previous interviews, just about how at the end of the day, because I usually have a very packed schedule, so at the end of the day, I just want to unwind, I just want to be with my loved ones, and I just want to start the next day on a fresh note, always. So I always make sure that at the end of the day, my day always ends with things that I love the most. For example, it's my mother, my father, my sister, and my friends. And so when I wake up in the morning, so I don't think about work at all. I don't think about what's going on at all. I just shut that part of my brain off, take a break, just spend some good time. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm always fresh and it's always a new day. And yeah, so that's how being positive always helps.
That's great. So for students considering studying abroad, what did you find most valuable beyond academic lessons in terms of growth, confidence, or discovering your path?
Okay, so when you go abroad, one thing is that you become independent, okay? And independent because when you're here, when you're under your parents' roof, when you have all these loved ones around you who have been caring for you ever since you were born, you're always living in a place that's comfortable for you. And no matter what happens in your life, you can always run back to that. And no matter what happens in your life, sometimes you're like, it's okay, you know what? That's completely all right because I'm going to go home and everyone is going to cushion me and, I'm going to be fine. But when you're leaving the country and when you go abroad, you don't have that. You go out there in the world with a bunch of people you have never met before. You don't know whether you can trust these people. You don't know their intentions. If you're having a bad day, it's about you and yourself, right? Unless and otherwise, of course, you spend some time and you get to know people, you create a community around you, a network around you. Until that, you're all by yourself. And even when you do that, you're all by yourself because I believe the ones that you can truly trust is your family first, right? So when you don't have them, it's really like, you're just lost at some point, right? So then you learn to become independent. You learn to divert your emotions back to yourself. You learn to self-reflect. Now, when something is wrong, we always, it's normal, it's a good habit also, we always run back to our mothers or, our fathers or our siblings, our friends and be like, this happened, like what am I supposed to do? But when you're out there, sometimes they're all not just one phone call away, they're all not just reachable like that. And then you're supposed to ask yourself, what am I supposed to do? So then in terms of reflecting and actively thinking, you become better. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that when you go out there into a new country, people are different, cultures are different, people come from all kinds of different backgrounds, and you learn acceptance. You will learn that it's okay because we Sri Lankans, as a community, we all behave a certain way, we have certain characteristics. When you go out there, it's all different, right? And you learn to accept that because all your life you have been thinking this is the right way to live life. This is the way things are done. But when you meet people of different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures, you're like, okay, wow, this can also be interpreted this way. There is cultures coming, saying different things, religions saying different things. And you're like, okay, I'm not the only one who is right. This is not the only way to do something. And you learn about other people and you learn acceptance. And when you learn acceptance, you accept yourself more and you also accept everyone around you. And when you do that, you become less judgmental. of what's happening. Say you're in a workplace, you come back here and you're in a workplace. So say before you went out of your country, you will only accept if 1 is 1 and 2 is 2 and 3 is 3, right? If 1 plus 1 is 2. But when you go outside and come back, you might even accept that 1 plus 1 is 11 and it's okay. And when you do that, you become better when you work as a team, because a lot of jobs out there is about teamwork. Even if you take medicine, even if you take doctor, even if you take my restaurant, it's about teamwork. It's about coming together as a team. And if you're not able to accept another point of view, you're not going to move forward, or you're not going to work well as a team. But when you're open to actually saying yes, 1 plus 1 is also equal to 11, when you have that mindset to accept, you become a better team worker, you become a better leader. And I think that's what going abroad, that's what meeting different people actually molds you as a person.
That's very interesting fact, because people who go abroad, actually, they get a good exposure.
Yes.
And once they come back, they completely change, and they're
Yes.
not the same person.
Yes.
If when they were around here, if they were finding it hard to survive because they were in the comfort zone, when they go out there, they completely change themselves, right?
Yes.
So I think what you said was completely true. So let's go back to your Cafe Colombo. So you emphasize that exclusivity. The cafe avoids alcohol, pork, and beef. Like, so people of different background and backgrounds feel welcome. So why was creating that kind of space so important to you?
Because like I said, even though this started as an accident, it's now a mission, right? And I want this to reach as many people as possible. So to do that, to be that, I need to be inclusive. And like I said, acceptance, right? So I have to accept all these differences. And this is not just about projecting a part of me. It's about projecting a part of me to everyone who doesn't know me, everyone who doesn't know what Coffee Colombo is, to everyone who doesn't know what Jaffna is, to everyone who doesn't know what Jaffna cuisine is, right? For me to do that, for me to reach many people as possible, I have to be as inclusive as possible. And that's very important to me. One, like I said, because on a long term, I'm looking at a global platform. So to do that, for me personally, it's important. And another thing is that I truly want to put Sri Lanka on the map, not like people haven't already done it, but obviously I want to add value to that. And I want to put Jaffna on the map. So for me to do that, that is something very personal to me, that is something very emotional to me, that is something very tight to my heart. And I think for me to do that, I need to reach as many people as possible. I need to be as inclusive as possible. I want people to try it. I want people to know about this. So that's why the inclusivity.
Okay, that's great. So, you being a doctor and you have your own restaurant and other businesses too. So being a doctor is not easy, actually, right? Because the whole day had to look for patients, and apart from that, now you have your employees to look after in your business. Like, how do you manage both? Say, in terms of like yourself, your mind, and from your team, how do you manage it?
Okay. So one is about time management.
Mm-hmm.
Is about how you actually manage your time, like throughout the day, right? So I usually have everything written down because a lot of things slip my mind. I'm just a normal human being like everyone else. A lot of things slip my mind. So I always make sure that I actually write everything that has to be done, and I tick it off as I go to make sure whatever has to be done in the day is actually done in the day. So another thing is that apart from time management is about when it comes to either the hospital or the restaurant, even though it's two completely different fields, they both come together because the values of both are the same, right? The values of both are the same. I am the same person in both. It's just that I play different roles, but I'm the same person as both. So it's the same thing, like how I am consistent with Coffee Colombo, I'm also consistent when I go to the hospital. How I wake up and do the same thing at Coffee Colombo, I wake up and do the same thing at the hospital. How I care about every single patient at the hospital, I care about every single person, every single customer at Coffee Colombo. So it's about how I look at both. I don't look at, oh, I'm doing this, I'm also doing this, and this is two different things, and how am I going to bring it together in my day? For me, it's just one thing. It's just one thing because it's just me. It's just me, and I am the same person in both places. And even what I learn from both, like for example, if it is teamwork, like I mentioned before, whether it's at the restaurant or whether it's a hospital, teamwork is important in both. So it's applicable to both. And one important thing that I had mentioned earlier in one of my interviews is that when it comes to a business, there's no black and white. That's why even if we have a business, because if it was black and white, I think that everybody out there who's got a business degree would be running the most successful businesses. But then if you go there and if you ask the most successful people in the world, I think, I'm not sure about the exact statistics, but I can assure you that most people don't even have a degree, right? So it all comes to experience, and there is no black and white. You cannot put business into a book and tell you this is how you run a business, right? So there's no black and white. But when it comes to medicine, we have protocols. But at the same time, it's also not black and white, because something that works for your body is not going to work for another person's body. We have protocols, we have basics to follow, but just because a treatment works for you, because then we can save every single person on this planet with the same disease, right? But not, our bodies don't work the same way. So there is no black and white in both. So I kind of bring the similarities in both together and learn about both of these holistically. And about me as a person, I bring just me to both places. So I never see it as two different things. And so it's practically it's about time management, but everything else is about me as a person that I apply in both fields and everything else that I do.
I think that's something very something to take to most of them out there, because most of them are struggling out there to manage. Their daily tasks. So it's end of the day, it's how you manage it, right? So at Kinsley, we empower students to build their future through education and entrepreneurship. So what message do you have for students who may be at the foundation stage and dreaming of starting their own venture?
Okay. So like I mentioned before, the key is consistency. It is consistency. I can say this 1,000 times. It is consistency. It's about really waking up and doing the same thing every day and never getting bored of it. That's one. Another thing is about believing in yourself and your vision. Because no matter how much you sit down here and explain to someone else that this is what I'm going to do, they will never see it through your eyes. They never see the picture that is drawn in your head. They can never visualize what you visualize, because you are you, and that's what makes you you. You know how different you think and how you can make this picture in your mind. Like if we are both looking at this mic today, like it will look different in my eye and it will look different in your eye, right? So always believe in what you see. Don't get carried away. Yes, you can take feedback, you can take constructive criticism in whatever you do, whether it's your daily task, whether it's you as a daughter, is you as a son, is you as an entrepreneur. Definitely be open to feedback that's coming from a genuine place at heart. But don't let that completely influence the way that you think and the way that you're going to do something. Okay, so always believe in yourself and the ideas that you have, because that's what makes you different. You is what makes you different. And another thing is, with that, always be confident. And something that I always preach is be confident, but be humbly confident. Because by being overconfident, when you think you know it all, is the day that you stop becoming a better version of yourself. When you go out there and you're like, okay, I have completely mastered this, I know this, you're already closing yourself to learning something new. But when you're ready to accept it, when you're ready to be like, okay, I'm confident about what I know, but there's always something new out there. There's always something new that this world can teach me. You're always open to new ideas. You're always open to learning every day. And that way you become a better version of yourself every single day.
Finally, if you could go back to your younger self and give advice, what would that be and why?
Okay. I think it would be to not be scared. And something I learned and I just mentioned, that everything is not black and white and there's no set rules. You can actually set rules. You can actually set boundaries. And just because someone tells you that something works this way, I'm not telling you to go out there and rebel and break rules and break boundaries. But I'm saying you can always rewrite history and you can always have a different outlook to things. And you can always be different and still fit in the society and still be accepted and still be successful. And that way you're actually taking yourself away from the mass crowd and being different. And then that's how people recognize you. That's how you get recognition. Because when you just follow everything that's given to you blankly, when you have a set rule to life, when you're following everything, every single thing that has been taught to you and not taught to yourself, you become like the mass crowd. You become like everyone else. But when you think of your own, and when you think, yes, okay, maybe I can bend this a little bit, and it's okay to bend this a little bit, then you become a different person, and that's how you stand out in the middle of a lot of people. So I think it's something I would tell myself, is that it's okay to not believe in what everyone else is believing. It's okay to not see what everyone else is seeing at that point of time. It's okay to be different, and it's okay to be you.
Something like doing what you can, giving 100% from what you're able to. So what you shared with us today, it's actually very important out there for people who's watching this, and because there's a lot to take from this session today. And so until next time, I'll be signing off. I'm Zafar from the podcast today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.